Hello and welcome to this next episode of Simon Says, Let's Talk Business. This is your host, Al Simon, with Sandler Training by Simon. And on this show, we talk with high-performing business professionals. We want to sharpen our skills. We want to learn new ideas and concepts, share best practices with each other, and get to know really smart people. And we've got a really smart guy on our show today. That didn't come out right, Billy. I'll have to come back to that. Anyway, so listen carefully, take some notes, and look for Billy's contact information at the end so that you can engage with him if you want to, and I'm sure you're going to want to. And as always, we're going to conclude the show with a sales tip from me in our Ask Al segment. So, again, Al Simon with Sandler Training. Simon Says, Let's Talk Business on Business RadioX. Our guest today is Billy Gray. Billy is the CEO, owner, founder, absolute starter of all great things with Gray Contracting. Welcome, Billy.
Welcome, Al. And first of all, thanks for the intro there. I don't know if anybody's ever included the word smart in my intro, so I will take that as a compliment. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'm glad you did, because some people, when you say they're a smart guy, they go, I'm not sure that's a compliment.
I've been called smart other things, but not smart guy.
There you go. All right.
Hey, Al, this is your producer, Mike, by the way, interrupting your show. You want to do it differently? Here's what we can do. Say Billy is smart right now.
Billy is smart.
Oh, thanks.
Oh,
there
you
thanks.
go.
Thanks, guys.
I love it.
Y'all making me feel really good today. Well, First of all, let me just say hello to all my fans out there. I know everybody's listening in and tuned in today, knowing that me and Al are on the show.
Okay.
Thank you.
Our producer has some new toys. Here we go.
Super proud to be here and super happy to be with you guys today.
Excellent. Well, Billy, of course, you're one of our newest clients at Sandler Training, so it's excited about having you and your team on board. But today is really about Gray Contracting and about why you're in business, what you do, and why people might want to connect with you. So, tell us about Gray Contracting, and especially how you're different.
Well, first of all, we are a minority business-owned company. We're working on our second MBE certification right now. So I think that's extremely important. I've never taken part of so many diversity days as I have recently, and never realized that it was such a engine that was performing without my knowledge. I've kind of basically ran my business all the way up until now just on my own skills. I never knew that I had this other tool to work with.
Yeah.
And as I continue to grow and start working for some of the companies that I do, they also share the same philosophy as I do with diverse businesses and minority-owned businesses. And I didn't realize it was such a thing. But some of these bigger companies, they literally have teams dedicated to diversity, which is super cool. Like I said, some of my clients in the commercial real estate industry, like Cushman Wakefield, and we're about to do another one with JLL. They literally are having just days that are set aside for Diversity Day, to where they're proud of how many diverse type companies that they're working with and the marks that they're trying to hit, and what they're going to be able to do to even improve on that as we continue to go down the road. So that's in times like today, that's super exciting stuff. And I'm proud to be part of that small group. And there's definitely some special things that go along with that, being a minority business-owned company. So besides that, we're a full general contracting company. We hold the absolute highest contracting license you can get. There are several levels of general contracting license, and we hold.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yes, sir. There, sir. As we actually hold the NASCA license, which allows us to operate in 22 other states, also.
Okay.
And it gives us the capabilities to build skyscrapers. So if you can imagine all the people and personnel that you would have to do a project like that, that's my team.
All right.
Yeah. So another thing that differentiates us is that. I kind of learned this business is who I am. It wasn't something that I mean, obviously I learned along the way, but I was groomed from this from the time that I was born. My father worked for the Ritz-Carlton his whole life. My father is like the epitome of customer service. And I literally run my business off the Ritz-Carlton credo. That's how we treat people, ladies and gentlemen, serving other ladies and gentlemen. And customer service is very important to us, and how I train my employees to deal with our clients is something as simple as just walking down the hall and passing somebody, and how you say hello and greet them and smile. It's very important. Those things are super important. Customer service is like, of the highest thing priority for me, just based on my father's experience.
Well, the Ritz-Carlton is the world-class standard. So that's probably a good reason why you've been doing this for 20 plus years and growing.
They are. Yeah, I remember the first time I took my girl to the Ritz-Carlton, she said, "Why do we have to stay there for? It costs so much." I said, "Just trust me. Let's go down there." And on day 2, she looked at me and she said, "Oh, I completely get it now. I understand." Yes. So there's nothing better than being a client and being treated, like that.
Yes.
So with that, accompanied with, as I said, I'm a minority business owned. My mother is from Vietnam. So she came over during the war. She actually worked for the U.S. Embassy during the war, which is how we actually made it here. And not to get too deep into my personal stuff, but when I was born here, our father left us, which is actually the best thing that ever happened to me in my life, because the reason that my mother was here was because her entire family in Vietnam, they raised enough money, and this is this is going to be probably weird for you guys because they do things differently there. But they raised enough money within the family to have my mother's birth certificate changed to say that she was 18, so that she could actually work for the U.S. Embassy, and that's how she got the job there.
How about that?
Which is how she ended up getting us here. And the reason that they picked her was because she was the one in the family that everybody wanted to bank on. She had the best chance to come here and make things right for them back there.
Nice.
So when fast track, my father left us. My mother stuck here, doesn't really know the language that much, has no family, no friends, or anything like that. Backed her into a corner, and that's where my mother operates the best. When she was backed into a corner, she came out swinging. And today, my mother owns several businesses. She's a self-made millionaire and just a world-class hustler.
What a story!
So just between her and my father alone, like I said, I just have been given these natural skills to one day own my own business.
Yes.
I've been helping my mother run businesses since I was 5.
Yeah.
So it's all natural to me. It's I don't have to. It's not an effort for me to go out and do this. This is just basically who I am.
And you've obviously figured some things out, because I understand you have very low turnover.
Yeah, we have very low turnover. In fact, one of my first hirees is still with me. I've been in business for 25 years. And I have employees that have been with me over 20 years. When you hire good people, you treat them the right way, you pay them on time, and you build a culture around your business, people don't want to leave.
Yes.
And then, you treat them right. And, in today's age, personnel is not an easy thing. It's an employees market. I mean, people can just move around from job to job, and they do. But I find having employees is kind of like having a girlfriend. You're constantly trying to impress them, and do little things here so that they stay around. So I've just built such a good company culture, and I seem to always have done the right thing by my employees. That, like you said, I have very little turnover.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about the world-class customer service standard based on the Ritz-Carlton model. And these two things, that and the low turnover, is probably related, I'm guessing. And I was talking to one of my clients this morning about a difference between someone who does quality work and someone else who just lowballs the quote, and how sometimes prospects just want that lowball quote, and you can't stoop to that level if you're going to keep the integrity of your business. If that's your model, if your model is low cost, fine, stick to that model. If your model is high touch, great work, world-class customer service, then that's your model. Stick with it, and it works for you.
Yeah, definitely. And I do have an opinion on that. There are a lot of companies out there that go for the lowball type of thing. Mm-hmm. And in my world, I kind of try to pitch against that. When I'm talking to my clients, I have to tell them all the time, you have to be very careful of these low bids, because what happens is people will come in at a low price, get you on the hook, and the next thing you know, you're getting change order after change order after change order.
Plus inflation, right now. I mean, your raw materials have to be going up and up and up.
I mean, it's so bad that our estimates now are only good for 10 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because the prices fluctuate so much that we are constantly having to reevaluate pricing before we can move on.
Okay.
And the philosophy that I use is that if you're the client and you reach out to me to come help you out with a project, I think it's my job to inform and educate you. And if there's going to be a chance of additional cost down the road, I need to be upfront with you about that before
Set that expectation.
Before you even sign the contract.
Yes.
It's not one of those bait and switch things where you sign the contract and then all of a sudden I'm like,
by the way,
we found this now, and now you're gonna have to come spend an extra $25,000 for that.
Right.
That's not the way we do it, and that's basically what's earned trust within our clients, is that they know that we're gonna put together a pretty comprehensive estimate and proposal for them.
Yes.
That outlines and covers all the possibilities.
And you're probably not going to win some deals because of that.
You know what? That's fine. But there's people out there that care more about lower prices than they do about quality and trust, and that's basically what my company's built on. And with that, there's an additional fee for that.
Yes.
I'm at the perfect size where I am, I would consider myself a big small company, if you would.
A big small company. Okay. There you go.
I'm a big small company. Yeah. Yeah. And then some of the other things too that have kind of differentiates us is that we've been recognized by the community, by the organizations, by the market themselves. To some of the things that we bring to the table. I only entered the commercial real estate industry world about 5 years ago. And within the first 3 years, I was already chosen by my peers as the Allied service provider of the year for commercial real estate industry in Georgia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that was just a couple years ago. So that was part of the BOMA organization. So to win the number one vendor of the whole commercial real estate was something I was proud of.
You should be.
Yeah, and
that's an excellent honor.
And then just to kind of show how my team works and the process that we go through, the very next year, Tiffany, who also works with me, my girlfriend as well, she does business development. She won Commercial Real Estate Young Professional of the Year award.
How about that?
We strive on doing the right thing, making ourselves known, putting ourselves out there, and winning.
Yeah. Well, obviously you're winning because you mentioned already Cushman & Wakefield, JLL. I mean, some of these names most people know. What other kinds of projects have you done recently?
You know what? We've done some, some I can name some of the things that we do, some of the stuff that I do. I can't really talk about. One of the cool things right now we do.
What types of, maybe is a bit of a better word, what kinds of projects have you worked on?
Like some of the sexy stuff that we do right now, we do a lot with the Falcons. I work with the Arthur Blank Foundation and their main facilities director. So most of the things that Arthur does with any of his properties, I'm involved in. We just finished up a bunch of stuff up at the Falcons training facility. We have other cool projects that we're working on like right now that are like super high security stuff like Google, the U.S. Postal Service, the ICE building, Department of Homeland Security, where we're going in and doing these projects here that just have so many different levels of security that it's very cool. I've been into several buildings where it's literally as if you're walking into a military compound trying to get into these buildings and the processes. So we do that. We do a lot of like I said, commercial real estate work. We've done a lot of restaurants, nightclubs. But commercial real estate is primarily our main thing.
Okay.
I'm actually going to a fundraiser tonight for the insurance commissioner at at a really cool spot down in Midtown called The Establishment, which is a place that I built also.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I've been there.
Oh, you have?
I have.
Oh, yeah. That was my doing there.
All right. That was very cool.
Yeah, so I dabble around in quite a few things. It's fun. Some of the stuff that we do is boring, and as far as like the work itself, but there are some sexy things out there that we get involved in.
You know what? Boring's pretty good too.
Boring pays.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
Sexy's just fun to talk about.
Yes. Well, once again, this is Al Simon with Sandler Training, and this is the show. As Simon says, let's talk business, and we're talking with Billy Gray, the CEO and owner of Gray Contracting. And Billy, I think you may have already answered the question, but I'm always curious about superpowers and secret sauces, things like that. And you mentioned the world-class customer service. You mentioned very low turnover. You mentioned making sure that you've got quality work being done. So you may have already answered the question, but is there anything else that you would say is this is why we're so good?
I think that one of the things that makes us really good is in our relationship building. That's one of our stronger suits. We make relationships before we make business. And sometimes those relationships take a while to fully develop. And so our company is, we're kind of known as one of the funnest companies out there.
Yeah.
We do a lot of entertaining, which keeps our clients on the hook for us a lot. We did a 60 clientele Braves game yesterday. Like I said, I've got the event I'm going to tonight. I literally went through my calendar with my two business development people, Holland and Tiffany, and we've got 23 events over the next 21 days. So we spend a lot of money. We love to give back.
Yes.
And people love that about us. We're not just the typical company trying to do business with you. People like to do business with us because they like us.
Yes.
They have fun with us. They love hanging out with us. We like I said, we love to take care of our own clients and give back. And that's something that a lot of people don't do. They're not out there on the grind as hard as we are. So I would say that would be one of the things. Another, and that's kind of more from a clientele perspective, more from an inner office type perspective. I think part of my secret sauce and one of the things that worked so great for me, I know we talked about culture before, but several years back, I decided to change the philosophy of my company and the way that we did things. I had a bunch of guys that worked for me full time. I was paying them all salary or by the hour, which was a pain in my butt, especially in construction, because you're having to keep up with the hours and how long were they at lunch or quick trip or what time or how late did they roll in. So I just had this idea of, why not figure out a way to give them skin in the game and make them part of the company. So I thought about it, and I set everybody down, and I said, hey, look, guys, with the amount of money that we're paying out with payroll taxes and workers' comp, I could just put you into business for yourself, and teach you how to run your own business, get you set up, get your business license, open your accounts, do your taxes, run through all of your different tax audits, your insurance, workers' comp audits, so that they could successfully start and build a business. And by doing that, I took all these guys off of payroll, and I set them down, and I said, hey, look, and I'll just use an example. I had two of the best painters at the time, and these guys were amazing. The interior designers were just like I was getting so much work from interior designers because they just loved these guys painting. So I said, hey, look, I'm going to put you guys into business for yourself, and as my company grows and I get more and more paint work, instead of me hiring more painters, I'm going to let you hire them. And I'm actually going to build your company for you. And I've done that with about 20 people. And that's one of the biggest secrets of sauces that I have is that, I have 20 different owners in my company that all are part of it, skin in the game. So every day it's not up to me to go down there and, figure out how to make $1 million. They're down there doing it for me.
Yeah.
And so, and by doing that, they those guys have pride in their work. They
They're building something for themselves.
They're building something for themselves. Yeah,
Yes.
I remember coming in going, hey, why don't we do these 2 jobs this week? And them looking at me going, well, why don't we split the crew up and actually instead of doing these 2 jobs, why don't we do all 5 of these jobs? And I'm like, okay,
Here we go.
I like that. So
Yeah.
I got people thinking for themselves now on how to make money for themselves, which in turn makes money for the company and
Nice.
Gray and myself.
That's great.
Yeah. So it's nothing better than having a bunch of people that are not just coming to work. They're coming to, something that's theirs, their home.
I'll tell you what, Bill, you're talking about something that's near and dear to my heart, which is a privately held company that is focused on giving to others. Really good stuff. I mean, you're working with the Arthur Blank Foundation, the diversity directives you're doing, and then giving people a chance to build for themselves. Really good examples of someone who's focused on others, not on themselves, which is the way to have a successful company. That is awesome.
Well, people ask me why I wake up in the mornings, and my employees, my partners are the reason I do. It's not because of my clients; it's because of my employees.
Yeah.
It's in my benefit. It's what I want is to see them succeed.
Yes.
And whenever I have company meetings and these guys pull up in all their new trucks and guys that I found on the corner in some instances back in the day, they're pulling up in these new trucks wearing their Ray-Bans and Prada sunglasses, and I'm looking at, and I'm looking and I'm like, I did that. I helped make these guys, put these guys where they're at right now.
Yes.
And it's very appreciated. These guys are, they come to me often and are like, thank you, for doing this for us.
That's awesome.
And that's my motor right there.
There you go.
That gets me excited.
I like that. Well, our listeners are going to want to contact you, Billy, for projects, for work, right? For employment, or maybe to get your help setting up as a subcontractor or whatever it might be. So, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
We got several different ways. You can easily reach out by phone and call our office number, which is 678-530-9700.
Okay, let's say that again. 678-530-9700.
That's correct.
Okay.
We also have our website that you can go on and request proposals from there, and that's www.graycontracting.net. And again, that is www.graycontracting.net. And there's a section in there where you can just easily go in there and request a proposal. It comes to our office, and then we'll reach out to you immediately there. If you just want to just email us directly, you can just email us right at info@graycontracting.net, and that is info at gray, Gray.
AY, yes.
Yeah, I get that one a lot.
I bet you do, yeah.
But it is gray.net.
GRAYcontracting.net.
Yep.
Excellent. Billy, it's great to have you in the show.
Yeah. I'm glad to be here, man. This has been an exciting day.
Yeah, that's good stuff. All right. So once again, this is Simon Says Let's Talk Business on Business RadioX. I'm your host, Al Simon, with Sandler Training by Simon, Inc. Our guest today has been Billy Gray, the CEO and owner of Gray Contracting. Good stuff. An organization focused on quality and others. Very good. Okay, well, now it's time to go into our Ask Al segment, where we share sales advice, answer questions from listeners. And so we've got a question today from a listener that I'm going to answer. If you have a question on sales that you'd like to submit to us to get answered on the Ask Al segment, you can email it to me, al.simon, S-I-M-O-N, at sandler.com. al.simon@sandler.com. Just send in your question, and sales or sales management type question, and it just might get answered on the air. Today's question, Billy, comes from a listener who says, an ideal potential client called and asked us to bid. You probably never have that, right?
Occasionally.
Yeah, occasionally. So we're so excited. I sent in our quote and haven't gotten an answer. What do I do? Typical, classic situation. This is actually one of my pet peeves, is when people get a request for a quote or a request for a proposal, and all they do is fill something out or put something on paper, words on a screen, and send it in, and expect that prospect is going to engage with them, ask questions, and refine the quote and so on, and you know, of course, end up with a closed deal. And so they sit. Now, I remember talking to one of my prospects one time. I said, "How do you people get new business?" And he said, "I'm pretty sure they aggressively wait for the phone to ring." And it's just, you know, you can't blame the prospect for this. You cannot blame the prospect. Just because they said, "Hey, send us a quote," does not mean that you're going to get the business or even get a call back. And I don't know why people expect that to happen. So do not blame the prospect. Take responsibility. Go after this thing. And I'm sorry for this listener, because their question is, what do I do? And the bottom line is, you know, you're pretty much toast.
You find another company.
There you go. Find another prospect. Because all the mistakes were made in the front end, and so, you know, you get someone calling in or emailing in or filling out a website form with an inbound lead, asking for information or a quote. That's cool. That's awesome, and that means your marketing's working, your lead gen's working. But your job then is to pick up the phone. That's your job. Pick up the phone and ask a few questions. And, you know, do discovery. Before you put any kind of quote together of any kind. And then make sure that you have next steps set up. Now, we have this thing at Sandler we call the upfront contract, but you don't need to know all the details of that. Just know to make sure that you're setting correct expectations about a future conversation. Have it on the calendar, both your calendar and the prospect's calendar, and make sure you're doing that. Because when you get an inbound lead that you didn't expect, looking for a quote, it is quite possible that you are being what we call spreadsheeted, right? They have to show due diligence to their stakeholders, and so they put these RFPs or RFQs out there. And but if you didn't know it was coming in advance, and maybe even help write it, you've probably already lost. Someone else has already been unofficially anointed, and you're column B or C or D on that spreadsheet. And so if you start to realize that you can do a better job on the front end when you first get that request, handle it correctly. So that's the answer to this one.
And I kind of agree with you there, Al. I mean, I think that it's coming from a contractor standpoint, if you reach out to somebody and they don't get back to you, that's already a red flag right there. Imagine what it's going to be like after you've already given them money and contracted them to do the work. You know, we have a 24-hour policy at my office. Somebody reaches out, you have to get back to them within 24 hours. And you said it perfectly. When somebody reaches out to me, our main focus for the next step after we get back is to set the expectations. This is when you can expect us to come out. Once we come out, this is how long you can expect us to actually have the written bid back over to you. Yeah. So in my opinion, if you're the client, you should never have to ask the questions. We should always be telling you, hey, this is when we're coming, this is what time, this is when you can expect it. And that's how you run it. Believe it or not, I started my business off of these things right here. Yeah. I said, what are the 10 things that people hate about contractors? And I made a list of them. And I said, if I don't do those 10 things, I'll win.
There you go. I have a client that got one of these RFP in this case, that they didn't expect. It shows up. He calls up the issuer of the RFP and says, "Am I column B, C, or D on your spreadsheet?" Actually said that, and there was this uncomfortable silence on the other end of the phone at first, and then the guy started chuckling, and said, "Yeah, well, actually, you are." and so my client said, "You know what? That's cool. Tell you what, don't make me do all the detail work. Just tell me what you need to know from a high level standpoint. I'll do that for you, so you can show you've done due diligence. If you'll do this for me." I'll do that for you if you do this for me the next time we have a project that you tell us in advance before you issue. And you know what? A year later, he got a deal from that company doing it that way.
That's awesome.
That is a pretty cool story, isn't it?
Yeah, that's that pre-sale question that a lot of people don't ask.
Yeah. So in Sandler, we call that a pattern interrupt.
A pattern interrupt.
Hey,
right.
Am I column B, C, or D on your spreadsheet? So there you go. So again, this has been the Ask Al segment of Simon Says Let's Talk Business. I'm your host, Al Simon. Thank you, Billy Gray, for being with us today. And as always, folks, good selling.
Thanks, guys.